God only knows what you've been through. God only knows what they say about you. God only knows how it's killing you. But there's a kind of love that God only knows. God only knows what you've been through. God only knows what they say about you. But God only knows the real you. There's a kind of love that God only knows.
Welcome to the 14th episode of Your Journey is Not Over. My name is Tanya Pearson Randolph. This is my own personal journey, and the expressions and opinions are of my own. I own all the rights to my personal journey, and to Your Journey is Not Over. Neither are to be used, copied, or edited in any way without my consent. I'm going to pick up right where I left off last time. It was 1982, and the next memory I remember is summertime. And I got to go to Tennessee to stay with my great aunts and uncles. I explained this to a friend not long ago. Because of living with my grandparents in Kentucky, family was very close knit back then. So my great aunts and uncles are, of course, my grandparents' siblings. So they were essentially aunts and uncles to me without the great. Where I lived as a baby was in Kentucky, but it was like 5 miles to the Tennessee state line. So some of my family lived in Kentucky and some lived in Tennessee. I love going where I call home. That will always be my home, even though I haven't lived there since I was 5 years old. I do a lot of reading and about a lot of different things, and I once read that the most impressionable years for a child are the first 5 years. It's then that develops certain traits and aspects of the child's personality. I truly believe that because I'm a very grounded and humble person. I have a lot of old school views on the world. Old fashioned, I guess, is the term most used to describe me. Of course, traits that I must have picked up as a child. I have an innocence about me, is what I'm told a lot. It's not innocence as far as actions, it's an innocence on how I see people and I view the world. I have a note on my desk that I read as a reminder every single day. It was the thing I remember my grandma saying the most to me. She always said, "Chin up, baby. Always remember who you are and where you come from. God has you." So I live by that. I'll never forget the struggle nor the sacrifice that my grandparents made for my brother and I. I know the struggle had to be real for them to even feed us. Again, I stay true to who I was raised to be. So when I went to Tennessee, I got to stay with 3 sets of great aunts and uncles and one of my favorite cousins. So my time got spread out, and I loved it because I had such a close bond with all of them. One great aunt had a business, so it was always fascinating to stay with her. Of course, I had to get up extra early every single morning. Had a routine. Up before the chickens, breakfast, then drive to the farm and get the eggs out of the chicken coop and feed and water all the animals. Then back to her house, which was also where her business was. Stock the coolers, count money, and open by 6 a.m. So, yes, up early every single morning. I learned so much from her, and she was such a smart businesswoman and so good with people, so friendly, and the first person to show me how to use math skills into a business sense. Pretty much what I'm trying to say is she showed me how to count and balance everything out. I truly think because of that is the reason I got intrigued with math and numbers, and I'm always balancing things out. I love staying with her, and her granddaughter is one of my favorite cousins. So I always got to see her and spend nights with her too. I love the memories. I recently made a trip home and I got to see and spend time with this favorite cousin. It was a wonderful experience. Lots of memories. We hadn't seen each other in 40 years, and let me backtrack. Have you ever had that cousin or a friend that you go through life wondering what in the world happened to them? Where are they? How are they? Well, she is that cousin for me. We had always had the best of times together. We just got each other. And we have the exact same personality. And we both are talkers. That's an understatement. So I reactivated my Facebook. It was COVID season, and I'm on there searching every day, in every way I can, of course. I don't know where she lives or what her married name is, so the search is on, and I wasn't going to give up till I found her. So, of course, I'm a determined person. So, after about a week, I hit jackpot. I was so happy to see her picture on Facebook. I started crying, of course, happy tears. So excited to finally find her after 40 long years. Again, God is good. We have been in touch for almost 2 years, lots of messages, catching up on life, our kids, our grandkids, and swore we would see each other again soon. Meet up, do a vacation together, something, anything to reconnect and make new memories together. So a couple months ago, a girlfriend said she was making a trip to Tennessee to welcome a new grandbaby. Just in conversation, I happened to ask, "What part of Tennessee are you going to?" My heart dropped when she said Huntsville, Tennessee. That's the next town from where most of my family is from. Of course, I asked, could I tag along with her? And she was like, yes, of course. I hadn't been home in 17 years. Again, God knew what I needed. And I needed to go home as part of my healing journey. It is where it all began for me, what made me the person I still am today. And God Himself made it happen. I'm so grateful. Again, we hadn't seen each other for 40 years. She texts that she is on her way. I was so excited. She knocked on the hotel room door and I opened it. Instant look at each other and hugs and tears. I couldn't stop the tears. So grateful to have my arms around her. Again, a dream come true. We immediately connected and it was like not a day had passed with us. We picked right up like we had always done as kids. So nice to be with someone that is family. We think so much alike. We had the best day together. I didn't want it to end. We went to lunch and then set out to go down memory lane. We had the same memories, and it was so much fun. And then we went to visit and pay respects to graves of our families, our ancestors. I got to visit my grandparents' grave. It was much needed. Just a reminder of who I am. First and foremost, I am God's daughter, but I'm also their granddaughter and the baby of a whole generation. Again, I needed that as part of my healing journey. No better place to start than at the beginning, right? I love you, my cousin, always and forever, and thank you for the best day and the memories. We will see each other again soon. Now back to my summer in Tennessee. I loved it. I got fed lots of good Southern food. One of my favorites, even now, is pickled bologna and crackers. So when the summer was over, it was hard going back to being alone and no food in the house. I had to adjust. Leaving Tennessee was always hard because I did know what I was going back to. The same as before, I left, alone and surviving on school lunch again. Somehow, one of the lunch ladies must have known because she would buy me an extra pizza or bring me cookies to take home. Just recently, I talked to an old classmate from that school, and he brought up her name, and I told him how she would always try and give me extra food for later. Again, an angel God placed in my life. Forever grateful. I am forever grateful for any acts of kindness that were done for me or to me. When you grow up around such cold, heartless, detached, dysfunctional people, you realize at an early age that acts of kindness are not something to be taken for granted. Even the smallest acts of kindness can change a person's whole way of seeing the world, can sometimes make or break a person's day or even their life. So I have a memory like an elephant, and I never forget what people have done for me. Again, the kindness of strangers, whom I believe God sent to my life, have been what have gave me love, encouragement, and guidance, and who I give a lot of credit to for helping me to become who I am now. I'm going to end today's podcast by talking about school lunches. It's been brought to my attention that school lunches have changed drastically since I was in school. I hear it's all about healthy now, and I get that. And I read that it was changed, redesigned because of the obesity that we face here in America. Really? I don't want to talk about obesity or statistics. I'm going to speak out from my experience, okay? I was that child that survived off a school lunch alone 99% of the time, and that was excruciating and so painful. The hunger pains are something I will never forget. Going to bed hungry, waking up hungry. And you know what? My mom's biggest excuse was for not spending money on groceries. I was overweight. Truly, I wasn't, but somehow it justified it in her mind. So the school lunches have been reduced to carrots and celery and all healthy food. And I'm all for that. But let's make sure that there's food on those trays to fill these kids up and food that sticks to them longer than a couple hours. We should in no way be worrying about elementary kids' weight. These kids are helpless and at the mercy of the adults who are supposed to feed them, nurture them, and take care of them. It doesn't always get done. I'm sure I wasn't the only child back then surviving on school lunch alone, and I'm quite sure there are a lot of kids today that that's all they get. I can see the restructure or the redesign on the school lunches on middle school kids and high school kids. Yes, all day long. That age, at least, they have a voice and can speak up to get food and reach out for help. The elementary kids are too young. And if they are like me, they've seen a lot, went through a lot, and traumatized. So they have no voice to reach out or no way to reach out for help. It's just sad that somewhere, somehow, people got together at a big corporate table and said, let's restructure and redesign the school lunches because of the obesity in America. Let's face it, to cut cost. Everything is always about money. My question, and fair enough, because the fact is, I did live off of school lunch alone. I was that child. So who better to speak out? So my $1,000,000 question is, how many of these people sitting at that corporate table that redesigned and restructured these school lunches actually lived off of just school lunches? Guarantee you, not one of them. Wish they would have brought someone like me to that corporate table to give them a different perspective. It's easy to make those decisions when you've never had to live like that. And it's real easy for adults to make those decisions when they have free will and money to buy and eat whatever they want to. I never want to offend anyone, but it upsets me and offends me that there are children out here living like I had to, and even hungrier now because of the less that they get on their school lunch trays. Something is so wrong with that. Worried about obesity when kids are starving? It makes no sense to me. Invite me to that corporate table. Guarantee you, I will change your perspective on this topic. I will always speak up and speak out when it comes to kids and my own personal experience. Who better, right? Before I sign off today, I want to send my love and my prayers to every single person that's been affected by the hurricane that they've been suffering through the past couple of days. I have friends and family in Texas and in New Orleans, and I do want to send all my love and all my prayers that way to every single family that's been affected. This concludes my podcast for today. I hope that you join me next Tuesday. Everyone have a great weekend, and please try and make it a great weekend. And always remember, your journey is not over. God bless.
God only knows what you've been through. God only knows what they say about you. God only knows how it's killing you. But there's a kind of love that God only knows. God only knows what you've been